My daughter called me by mistake. One call, that's all it took. And what I heard on that phone made me pack a bag and leave my own house that same night. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just listened. And then I walked out. My name is May. I'm 68 years old now, and this is the story of how I lost everything by trying to give everything away. It started the way these things always start. With love, or at least what I thought was love. My daughter Sarah got married 5 years ago. My son-in-law David was a good guy. Or at least that's what I told myself. They seemed happy, young, full of possibilities, and they had nothing. No savings, no furniture, no real plan beyond hoping things would somehow work out. So I helped. That's what mothers do, right? We help, we give, we make sure our kids don't suffer the way we suffered. At first, it was small things. A couch for their apartment. Help with the deposit. Then the help got bigger. I paid their rent when work was slow. I bought their groceries. I fixed their car when it broke down. I gave them thousands of dollars. Thousands, money that came from my retirement. Money my late husband, Frank, left me to live on. Money I had saved, penny by penny, for 40 years. I told myself I was doing the right thing. I told myself that one day, when I was old, they would take care of me the way I was taking care of them. I told myself that love meant sacrifice. That being a good mother meant emptying your pockets and your savings account and just trusting that someday it would come back around. By year 3, I had given them nearly $30,000. I know this because I added it up one day. I sat at my kitchen table with a calculator and a cup of cold coffee, and I added up every transfer, every purchase, every emergency, and the number made me feel sick. $30,000. That money could have taken me to Europe. That money could have fixed my roof. That money could have been peace of mind for my final years. But I didn't dwell on it. I pushed the thought away, because doubting your own generosity feels like doubting yourself. It feels selfish. It feels wrong. Then came the phone call. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was in my living room, folding laundry and watching an old movie. Sarah called me. Or at least I thought she did. What really happened was her phone called mine by accident. She must have had it in her pocket. She was talking to David in their kitchen. I almost hung up, but I didn't. I'm not sure why. Some instinct made me listen. "Do you think she suspects anything?" Sarah said. My heart did something strange in my chest. "I don't think so." David replied. "She's just thrilled to help. She always is." There was a laugh. I heard Sarah laugh, but not a happy laugh. It was mean. It was cold. "We can get another $5,000 out of her before we move," Sarah said. "She won't even notice. She's so desperate to feel needed. It's pathetic, actually." The rest of the conversation faded in and out. Something about a plan. Something about how easy it was. How easy I was. I remember David saying, "Her money is basically free money. It's like she wants to give it to us." And then Sarah said something I'll never forget for as long as I live. She's just counting down the days until she can be useful. That's her entire life now. Making sure we're okay. It's sad, really. But hey, if she wants to throw money at us, who are we to stop her? I hung up the phone. My hands were shaking. Not from anger, but from shock. From the realization that I had built an entire fantasy in my head. In that fantasy, my daughter loved me. My daughter was grateful. My daughter saw me as her mother, not as a source of money with wrinkles. I sat in that living room for 2 hours without moving. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there and thought about every moment I had spent believing in something that was never true. Every time I had canceled my plans to help them. Every night I had eaten less because I'd sent them money instead. Every time I had felt that warm glow in my chest, thinking about how much they needed me and how I was there for them. It was all fake. That night I packed a bag. I didn't pack much. Some clothes, my important papers, a few pictures of Frank. I left a note on the kitchen table that just said, "I'm taking a break from this. Don't call me." And I left. I went to a small hotel near the water, the kind of place that rents rooms by the week. And I sat in that room for 3 days without answering my phone. I watched it ring. Sarah called. Then David. Then both of them. Their messages got angrier, then desperate, then angry again. On the 4th day, my phone rang from an unknown number. It was a lawyer. They wanted to come see me. They said they were concerned about my mental health. They said my behavior had changed. They said I might need help managing my finances. That's when I understood. This wasn't just about taking my money. This was about taking everything. My autonomy, my dignity, my right to say no. If they could get a court to say I was mentally unfit, they could control everything. Every penny, every decision, everything. I called my own lawyer that day, a woman named Patricia, who had been handling my affairs for years. I told her everything. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "May, what you're describing is elder financial abuse. It's a crime, and we're going to fight this." The next 3 months were the hardest of my life, not because of what Sarah and David were doing, but because of what I had to accept about myself. I had to accept that I had been foolish. I had to accept that I had raised a daughter who saw me as nothing but a wallet. I had to accept that the love I thought I was giving was something I was buying, and that the only person responsible for that was me. The trial came, I testified. I explained the phone call. I showed the bank records. I talked about the promises that were never kept and the sacrifices that were never appreciated. The judge listened to everything, and he ruled in my favor. He said I was completely mentally competent. He said what Sarah and David were doing was predatory. He said there was to be no guardianship, and he made a recommendation that they pay back a portion of the money they owed me. They didn't pay it back. Of course they didn't. But I had something better than their money. I had my freedom back. I sold my house, the house that Frank and I had paid off together. I sold it. With half the money, I donated to organizations that help older people who are in situations like mine. The other half I kept, and I used it to finally live. I got a small apartment in the city. I took up painting again, something I hadn't done since I was 20. I traveled. I made real friends. Friendships based on something other than what I could give them. I joined a book club. I volunteered at the animal shelter. I sat in cafes and read without feeling guilty about it. I never heard from Sarah or David again. Not directly. I heard through a mutual friend that they had to move to a smaller place, that Sarah finally got a job, that David had to get 2 jobs. I heard they were struggling, and I won't lie to you. Part of me felt satisfied about that. Part of me thought, good. Now you know what it feels like to have to work for what you want. But the bigger part of me just felt sad. Sad for the daughter I thought I had. Sad for the person I had been. The person who needed to be needed so badly that she let herself be used. Here's what I learned through all of this, and I need you to listen to this part because some of you might need to hear it. Loving your children doesn't mean financing their adult lives. Being a good parent doesn't mean sacrificing yourself. And taking care of yourself isn't selfish. It's the most important thing you can do. I spent my entire life believing that love had to hurt, that real love meant giving until you had nothing left. But that's not love. That's codependency. That's a pattern we learn, usually from our own parents, and then pass down thinking we're doing something noble. My children were adults. They had hands. They had brains. They could work. They could plan. They could struggle a little and learn from it. What they couldn't do was rob me of my retirement, my dignity, and my peace, while I sat there thinking I was doing them a favor. I don't regret having children, but I regret not teaching them what real responsibility looks like. I regret not teaching them that money doesn't equal love. I regret enabling them to believe that the world owed them something, and mostly, I regret waiting until I was 68 years old to realize that I was worth taking care of too. But I'm telling you this story because I want you to understand something. Whether you're a parent like me or a young person thinking about your own family dynamics, understand this. Real relationships aren't transactional. Real love doesn't hurt you. Real family doesn't use you. And if you're in a situation where someone is using you, manipulating you, or making you feel guilty for taking care of yourself, that's not love. That's abuse. And you have the right to walk away. That night when I heard that phone call, that moment when I realized my daughter was laughing at me, that was the worst moment of my life. But it was also the moment that saved me. If you liked my story, subscribe to the channel. There are more stories like this waiting for you.